Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
I am fantastic. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I appreciate you.
Thank you for asking me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. China syndrome. I know the China part came from the wrestling legend China, but where did you come up with the syndrome aspect of it?
So, if you're a die-hard China fan, um, she actually had t-shirts of Chynasyndrome on, and I
Hmm.
was like, "Oh, I love that. I love it." There's actually a picture with her and Triple H wearing these t-shirts, and I was
Okay.
like, "I'm using that."
Okay. Nice. Nice. And it definitely goes for sure. Absolutely. Now, what encouraged you or what got you into bodybuilding? And was it connected to your resemblance to China?
Not at all. I started lifting weights in, oh gosh, 2019,
Hmm.
because I wanted to get toned up. I was actually doing a Princess Jasmine cosplay for a Comic Con.
Oh, wow.
Like, I need to tone my stomach up. And then I just carried on lifting weights. And I was like, I really enjoy this. And at the time, I was pushed around by the person I was with. And I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to be that little girl that's pushed around anymore.
Hmm.
So I wanted to bodybuild.
Okay. I mean, it's like it's one thing to be toned, but to transition from being toned or being fit into bodybuilding, what so was it being pushed around in that sense that really kind of made you want to go full throttle into the bodybuilding or
Yeah, like
okay.
I've had a couple of bad experiences with relationships, and I
Okay.
was like, you know what? Never again am I letting a man push me around
Okay.
and do what they did to me.
Absolutely. That's understandable for sure. For sure. Okay. That's really good. It's always good to hear when people are able to take something negative or something bad that happens and make it a positive. Not only are you, I mean, look at you, spectacle, not only do you look amazing, but also you can, what happened before won't happen again because of the fact that you put yourself in another position physically. So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Congratulations to you. Now, prior to getting into bodybuilding, were you naturally athletic or do you have an athletic background?
oh Lord, no, I was the chubby kid at school.
Really?
Oh
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Now it's
I
funny. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
I was the fat kid that got picked on at school.
Really? Okay. Now, at what point? I remember you saying initially that you wanted to get toned. Were you still on the heavier side prior to saying I want to get toned?
No, so I was bullied relentlessly at school. Like I was a weird kid. I
Hmm.
had I had completely different interests to everyone else, and I was bullied relentlessly, and that made me hyper focus on trying to fit in with other people. And as a lot of girls do, they hyper focus on their weight. And I suffered with an eating disorder
Okay.
for 10 years.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, when I started lifting weights, I was extremely skinny.
Okay. Okay. I love this in the sense that here it is. You've given me at least two circumstances. It's unfortunate that you went through what you went through in terms of being picked on and being bullied. I experienced it myself as well. And it's unfortunate that you went through what you went through in terms of your previous relationships. But that is just awesome. And that's one of the reasons why I love having these conversations because we oftentimes hear so much about bad things happening to people and they unfortunately catering to that or building on to that bad. But here it is, you give me two examples of where you've turned it around. So that's really good, man. That's awesome.
I
That's
think
awesome.
bodybuilding honestly saved me
Okay.
because I was at a point where I was told I was serious heart attack risk.
Okay.
And I pulled myself out of that eating disorder because in my head something clicked and I was like, I want to build muscle, so I need to eat. And for
Hmm.
me, that was okay.
Hmm.
So I take it as life experience. Everyone
Sure.
has different things in their life that are bad, good. I'll take my bad experiences and I'll be like, right, I'm going to show you.
Yeah,
I
for
will
sure.
show you.
See, and you made your own life better in doing those things, but not to mention the fact that, I mean, the people that look at you, the people that are inspired and motivated and encouraged by the things that you do. I mean, it's a good thing. I remember being told many years ago and hearing it on a reoccurring basis that there's always somebody watching, for the good or the bad. So for you to portray that positive, this is good stuff for sure. um, Now, you being the fan of cosplay that you are, how did you get into cosplay? Was it the China that got you into cosplay, being that, or what was your jumping off point for that?
So I've always been a geek.
Okay.
Like from a kid, I remember I always wanted to dress up.
Sure.
I swear I irritated my mum. She'd make me costumes. And I started seeing sort of in 2014, 2015 adverts, the Comic-Con. I was like, what is this? And it's like a huge geek convention. I'm like, oh my God. And I was like begging people to go with me. And my friend said yes. So in 2015, I went to Comic-Con. I got an off the rack costume. I think it was Arkham Asylum Harley Quinn.
Okay.
And the minute I walked in there, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And I have been hooked since 2015.
Okay. Now, what would you say so far has been maybe your top 3 favorite people that you've done cosplay, that you've cosplayed?
Oh gosh, obviously Chyna.
Okay.
She's my girl. I really enjoyed doing Elektra and X-23, which is like female Wolverine.
Sure. Yeah, Laura Kinney. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm up on the geek culture.
Love it.
Know all about X-23 for sure. Okay. Now, what would you say are your top 3 that you want to do that you haven't done yet?
So I really want to do Xena Warrior Princess, but it's a
classic,
very intricate costume, and I'm
Sure.
like, that is a lot of leather, because I get perfectionist about costumes. I want to do it right.
Okay.
Wonder Woman, I'd love to do, just because it's Wonder Woman.
Sure. Of course.
And possibly She-Ra from He-Man, because that is an awesome character.
For sure. Wow. Oof, you're taking me back with those. All 3 of those are iconic characters for sure.
I'm showing my age now, aren't I?
Nope, you're not at all. Now, you said your initial cosplay, you just grabbed a costume. So you're to the point now where you make your own, or you have someone help you design them?
I mean, with like, I try and make what I can. I'm better at building props and stuff like that. I did sew my Princess Jasmine costume myself, but with the China stuff, the leather work, I'm like, I can't get it to the spec that I want it at, so I will get stuff custom made.
Okay, nice. Now, in addition to bodybuilding, what else do you do to stay in shape and to improve upon your physique?
So I've been in and out of wrestling training for just over a year, so I've actually gone back to that now. I've got the bug back. It took me a little while because of personal issues going on, but I'm like gone back to wrestling, which I loved.
Okay, good. Now, how far would you like to ride that horse in terms of wrestling? Would you like to ultimately get in with the WWE, or what would you like to do with it? What are your aspirations?
I'll push it as far as I can go. Like anything, I like to see how far I can push myself. So honestly, AEW would be awesome, because I tend to watch AEW a lot. So that would be awesome.
Okay, that sounds good. As far as your bodybuilding and your physique building, how many times a week? What's your training frequency? How many times a week do you train? What's your training split? What kind of nutrition do you adhere to? Tell me about your recovery as well in between sessions.
Okay, so I actually train 6 days a week, and I'm normally in the gym for about 2.5 hours. I'm a little bit longer on leg day, because leg days are not fun.
Sure, of course.
So I've just been my cardio's been put back to 15 minutes instead of 30, because I'm stripping back a bit too quick, and my trainer's like, right, we're gonna lower the cardio for a little bit.
Okay.
So my split is like, I think it's chest, back, legs, shoulders and arms, and then legs again.
Nice. Okay. Serious business. Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of your recovery, full body massages, sauna? What do you do for your recovery? Stretching?
I'm quite bad. I don't bother stretching. I should. I'm supposed to be getting massages now, just to like loosen the muscles up for shows, because obviously you don't want to tense up, because when you're on stage you have to really be able to throw your muscles out to show them off.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah,
I'm quite bad. I don't really take. I would take the odd rest day, but my happy place is the gym.
okay, I understand. Sure, absolutely. It's a stress relief, for sure. Now, do you think that your perspective on stretching will change anytime soon? Because let me tell you, it's definitely beneficial. You know,
I mean, I stretch at wrestling practice.
So that's the furthest you go with it. If it works, I'm not knocking it at
I know
all.
I'm back.
What now? Tell me about your nutrition. What do you do as far as nutrition? What do you adhere to? I mean, do you do just standard, or do you do like low carb, ketovore? What do you how are you?
So my personal trainer, she sets out all my meal plans. So I eat the same thing every day for a month, and it changes every month. So right now I'm on a cut. So she's lowered my carbs, lowered my fats. So we're stripping back slowly. So I'm not enjoying the carb cut. I'll admit, but it's all clean food. So it's like eggs, spinach, loads of vegetables, chicken, ground beef, as you guys call it, that kind of thing.
What do you guys call it there?
Minced beef.
Minced beef. Okay. Huh, nice. That'll work. Now, being that you've done this as long as you've done it, would you say that you pretty much, and then you have a trainer as well, would you say that you've pretty much gotten the routine locked in as far as being able to manipulate your body through your nutrition? Or do you still, because food seem like it's always the hardest thing for everybody. Would you say
food is literally half of it? Like, you can train, but if you're not eating the right nutrition, you're not going to see like good results. Like, I stepped into my gym a year ago, and I went, I want to be a competitive bodybuilder, like really shy. And I got put with my trainer, and honestly, she's the one that's made me grow like crazy, like just with the food, the training plans. Okay. So it'll be my first year competing this year. So really? I've never competed before. So this year she chucked me into like 3 major shows.
Wow. Okay. So do you know offhand when these shows are? Each show?
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me. When are your shows?
So my first one is August 4th.
Okay.
And honestly, I'm like excited but nervous. And then the second one is September 15th, and that is Two Bros, which is like one of the biggest organizations.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. And then my third one is in November. I can't remember the date offhand, and that's NAC, which is another big organization.
Okay. Jeez. Okay. So the good news is you got them. They're all pretty much back to back. So, Yeah,
it's going to be a solid few months of basically being stripped down like crazy, and me going, what the hell am I doing?
For sure. I mean, but all you got to do is look in the mirror and get a reminder, because again, I mean, what an example, very, very encouraging.
Sure.
For sure.
I think with the plan this year is just because I've never done it before. They've never seen me stripped down, like low body fat. So the plan is to see me stripped down, see where I'm lacking, see where I need to improve next year, see how I do on stage, because they've put me in physique because I've grown so big. So I'm competing against people that have been doing it for years. So once show season finishes, it will be back into bulk, and my trainer will be like, right, this, and this, and we'll work on it ready for next year.
Okay, that sounds good. So I mean, as far as your bodybuilding competitions are concerned, what would be your greatest aspiration other than winning? Would you say gaining your pro card, or how you want to ride that?
My goal, and I dream big with everything, I want my IFBB pro card in bodybuilding and be able to stand on the Olympia stage.
Sure. Okay. Now
maybe win it, who knows, but getting to Olympia would be like
hey, I believe there is a lot more within reach than what you may give yourself credit for. I mean, you're already training hard, I mean, all you got to do more or less is keep doing what you're doing. That's really good. What's that? I'm sorry?
Just keep pushing.
Absolutely, for sure. Now, between your cosplay, between your wrestling, between your bodybuilding, which would you say, put them in order of priority in terms of which one you love first, second, and third?
The bodybuilding would be first, because that's my happy place. That sort of saved me. And I just love it. Like, who knew throwing heavy stuff around would be so therapeutic? But I just love it. Then the wrestling, because it's wrestling, like a huge wrestling nerd. And it's really hard to put these in order. But yeah, then the cosplay, because it's more of a hobby for me. So it's something I get enjoyment out of. I don't make money from it. I just do it for the love of it. And I'm always been a nerd.
Sure. You know, what's interesting is, it's like you said, you put your all into all of it. So I mean, you're doing good in all of it. So that being the case, I could kind of see where it may have been a little difficult to kind of put them in order of priority, you know, because all three of them you excel in. So I've seen, well, you said you what is the name of your wrestling school, by the way?
It's the House of Pain, and it's in Nottingham in the UK.
Okay. Now, how many times now that you're back in the wrestling school, into the grind of it, how many times a week are you doing that? And how different is the recovery from that as opposed to your bodybuilding recovery?
So I'm doing it every Sunday just to get myself back into it, and then I might go to drills in the week, which I believe are Tuesdays and Thursdays. I have got it written down. Just so I can get my drills down. At the minute, because it's beginners, it doesn't really affect me. Like, I trained yesterday and I was in the gym training chest today. Like, it didn't really bother me.
Wow. Oh man, jeez. Okay. I mean, because it's all of it is a workout. You know, of course, the weight training and the bodybuilding is a workout, but then jumping around in the ring and doing techniques and running the ropes is wow. Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I have been injured in training before. Like, we were doing a sunset flip and the guy was kind of small and he couldn't really like cope with my weight. So instead of rolling with me, he went down and landed me on my neck, and I just felt my neck go tick, tick, tick. And that was like 2 weeks of, oh my God, my neck. So if you're like, you can get injured in beginners, don't get me wrong.
For sure. Now, how long did you say it took you to recover from that again?
It was a good couple of weeks. Like, I could not move my neck. I was like this. And I'm the kind of crazy idiot that was training in the gym anyway. I was like, I'm fine. I'm just not going to move my neck.
Oh, wow. Now, did you ever go to the doctor to at least let them have a look at you?
No. I was like, it's just a pulled muscle. It's fine.
Sarah. You know, it's funny though, because I mean, I know how that can be. You know, you love what you do, you know, and you're physical and you don't want to stop or slow down. So you keep, like you said, you just take some time away. Oh, it's going to be fine. And I mean, ultimately you feel better. Have you had any more issues out of it?
No, it's been fine.
Okay. And how long ago had that been again? I'm sorry.
Oh gosh, this is like back in summertime.
Okay. So it's been almost a year then.
Yeah, so it was fine after a couple of weeks. Like, I actually flew to America like 2 days after, so I'm on the plane like, I'm really hurting, but okay, never mind.
Oh wow, jeez. Okay, how often have you come to America for your business, for your craft?
I was dating a NWA wrestler for just over a year, so I was back and forth. Sure.
Now, in an instance like that, is it no place like home? Do you prefer? You're in the UK, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so is it no place like home? Your preference is to be in the UK, or do you like it over here as well?
I like it over there. I love it.
Okay. So if everything works out the way that we want it to, you think you'll wind up moving over here for the purposes of pursuing every aspect of your career?
Potentially, yeah, because like bodybuilding so much bigger, wrestling so much bigger, Comic Cons are bigger. Like, yeah, the Holy Grail of Comic Con is like over there. So.
Yep. San Diego Comic Con and New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. We're actually kind of coming into that season right now, because I think it started in March. I know I'm in Michigan, and we had a Motor City Comic Con in May, and this is within the beginning of spring into like late summer is the time You know, they're popping up everywhere. So no, you're right about
I
that.
think one of my friends has flown over there now for WonderCon in California. I was
Really?
like, oh, I'm jealous.
Oh man. So now does that friend that's flew to WonderCon, do they do cosplay as well, or they just going for the geek culture aspect of it?
Oh no, they do cosplay. Like
Really?
pretty
Okay.
loads of my friends are cosplayers. Like
Oh
I've
man.
met so many friends through cosplay. My best friend I met through cosplay.
Okay. That's pretty good. Okay, so you guys have developed a pretty nice community then, if that's the case.
It's nice, like the cosplay community is nice because you meet people that you wouldn't necessarily meet in
Right.
normal life, and we're all so different, but we've all got this common interest. And honestly, the amount of amazing people I've met through cosplay alone is mind-blowing, quite honestly.
Sure. Sounds like you have a lot of support as a whole within your cosplay, within your wrestling, within your bodybuilding. So that's good, to say nothing of the determination.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so that's good stuff. Recipe for success. Now, other than China, who would you say are your top 3 favorite men wrestler and women wrestlers?
Oh Lord.
Top 3.
Chris Jericho.
Okay.
Because if anyone on my social media, you know, I'm a huge Fozzy fan, and Chris Jericho is awesome.
Sure.
I liked Goldberg wrestling. Stone Cold, possibly. It's really hard to do these lists.
I understand. Sure. Now, what now China would be your number 1. What would be your second and third as far as the ladies are concerned?
It's only really China.
Okay.
She's just a lot. No, just like there are some really good female wrestlers.
Sure.
But China was something else. Like there's this woman that's like huge and she's tall and she's taking on men, and it was just like, oh my God. Like she's like, I'm a woman, but I can do what men can do. That for me just did it.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
I think Trish Stratus, I like her.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? You said China and Trish Stratus. We can leave it at those two. If that's what you got, that's fine. Yeah, no pressure, no stress. I tell you, something that's really cool is you've met extremely high level people, accomplished people within both bodybuilding and wrestling. You know, with the bodybuilding, you met Ronnie Coleman, you know, and then within wrestling, you met Chris Jericho, you met Sean X-Pac Waltman, you know, you met Trish Stratus. How was it meeting all of these individuals from Ronnie down to Trish?
So Ronnie Coleman, my gym actually got him to our gym. So I can actually say I've trained in the same gym Ronnie Coleman's trained at, because he was on the rowing machine.
Wow.
So they did a meet and greet, and I was like, oh my God, you have not got Ronnie Coleman coming. So like, it was just mind-blowing, quite honestly, but he was really cool, and he gave me some good advice.
Sure.
Because I said I'm competing and that. So yeah, he was just a cool guy.
Okay.
Trish, like by fluke, I walked past like her desk at a Comic-Con, and she spotted me and she yelled China and kind of ran at me. I was like, Trish Stratus is running at me. And then we had a picture together, and then we were talking about wrestling and that, and she's so down to earth, like she's lovely. With Chris Jericho, that was what happened with that was my best friend emailed his website, and he's like, my friend's had a really hard time, is there anything you can do to like cheer her up, because Fozzy were touring. At which point I got a follow from Chris Jericho on Instagram. I was like, what is going on? Like I was just freaking. I was like, Chris Jericho's just followed me. I was like, that's like, yeah. And then he'd basically arranged VIP meet and greet to his Fozzy tour, which was amazing. Honestly, that was the turning point for like, I was going through a situation with my ex. Like, it was a bad situation.
Sure.
That was the turning point for me, and I was like, I don't know what he doesn't know what he did for me that day just by doing that. Like I was mind blown, and he was so like, I had a chat with him and he was asking about my bodybuilding, and I was like, this is one of the first people I watched when I started watching wrestling, and I'm like, and you're interested in me, and he's asking about my bodybuilding, and I was just like mind blown. So for me, that was like my favorite person that I met, quite honestly. Like, he is such a down to earth, funny, lovely human being. With X-Pac, That was For the Love of Wrestling in Manchester. So my little Mark had one because I was so concerned about freaking him out. So obviously the likeness of Chyna, and I was cosplaying her, and I was like, but I really like DX. So okay. My head won. But apparently, like, he spotted me in the queue. My best friend was with me, and he's like, he just did a double take, and then he smiled and nodded his head. So I was like, really? Okay. So when I spoke to him, I was like, hi, really good to meet you. Shook his hand, and he's like, I'm aware of you because of Chyna's estate. You're doing an awesome job. And then we had a photo. So he was really, really pleasant to me, which was nice because I was concerned that I was going to weird him out or something like that. But then he shared the photo.
Wow. Okay. Now, how did that, I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. And even going back to when you said you met Trish and she said Chyna and ran towards you. I mean, it's like, how did that make you feel, Sarah?
I was just kind of mind blown because these are people I've watched wrestle and they're just like, Chyna. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Like, and it's like, you know, you putting in this hard work to be who you are as far as the Chynasyndrome, and for these heavy hitters that knew who Chyna was and worked with her to see you and to recognize you. I mean, it's kind of almost, it's like a validation of what it is that you're doing, you know?
It is amazing. Like, they've like, I've had like them say like the likeness is insane, and I'm like, this is kind of crazy. Like, it is actually crazy. But Chris actually called me by my name, Sarah, okay. Which was even more weird because we were in this queue for the meet and greet, and I stood towards the back. So I was like, well, I've been given this opportunity. These people have paid. When it got to my turn to do the meet and greet with the photo, he's like, Sarah. I was like, oh my God. I was just like, oh my God.
That's pretty good. Now
everyone's kind of looking at me like, who is this?
Sure. Hey, wow. You've had some pretty good highlights early on in your career. I can only imagine. Wow, what's coming. Who would you like to meet that you haven't met yet?
Billy Gunn, I think. I'd love to meet him.
Okay.
I want to meet Mankind, Mick Foley.
Classic.
Kind of all that. I don't know how Triple H would really take me, to be quite honest, but just the big stars that were like the era that I liked would be awesome.
Sure. I mean, but see, then too, that also goes back to what we talked about earlier, where you said your good friend went to WonderCon. You know, you start traveling, or when you start coming over to America, you know, a lot of wrestlers attend conventions, a lot of them, you know, regularly. Wrestlers that were from Chyna's era, some before and some recent. So I believe that'll definitely, to say nothing of the fact that you're already getting into professional wrestling, but those conventions I think will also be a good way to meet the people that you want to see, for sure.
Yeah, for sure, because you guys get a lot more of like the bigger stars there. We're kind of limited. I mean, when I was in America, I did go to Hogan's Beat Shop a few times hoping I'd run into him. Wow. But unfortunately I didn't, because can you imagine meeting like Hogan? That would be insane.
Right. And the thing that's really cool, I think, is like immediately different people you've met, they calling out Chyna, and they already know what time it is and who it is that you are, you know, in terms of your cosplaying. So that's pretty good. And I can't, forgive me if I asked already, but what was it that, I mean, like, is your hair color, are you naturally dark hair color? I mean, you know, how much changing and modifying other than with your physique did you have to make to start taking on that likeness?
So this hair color was actually an accident. I broke my wrist. I was bleach blonde. I'm naturally blonde.
Really?
I broke my wrist roller skating and had some kind of mental breakdown because I couldn't do anything. I'm fed up with my hair because I couldn't bleach it. I was like, I'm going to dye it brown. So I dyed it brown. Like, I went to a hairdresser's, and then I decided to dye it myself. So I bought a box dye, and it was brown, and I put the color on and it grabbed because of the bleach blonde underneath, and it went this color.
Really?
It was a complete accident.
Now, and like I said, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I read it or if I heard a video or something, but were you having what made you say I'm going to cosplay China? Did a friend of yours encourage you or say, hey, you look like China? Or how did you get to that point? Remind me.
So my best friend John, he used to be a wrestler. He's loves wrestling, cosplayer, and he's like, you should cosplay China. And I was like, I'm not big enough, John. I'm not. He's like, but you look like her. I was like, but I'm not big enough, John. It will look ridiculous. And then in 2022, I'm doing TikToks, and then people are commenting on my X23. They're like, you should cosplay China. I'm like, right. And I'd got a little bit more muscle then. I was like, maybe I can pull this off. So I got the iconic like leather costume made, and I was like, right, I'm going to a Comic-Con as China. And someone videoed it. It's like an 8-second clip and got posted on the internet, and bang, that's when it went viral originally. And I was like, okay. And then since then it's been China.
Okay, nice. I heard you say earlier that you've been in contact with her estate.
Yeah, so her estate actually endorsed me and recognized me as the only official cosplayer recognized by them. So I talk to them a lot. It's run by a close family friend of China's, because her mum is not very well.
Sure.
So I talk to them pretty much every week.
Wow. And you have
like, for me, that was probably the closest recognition I could get.
Absolutely.
Other than China herself, was
sure.
Her estate going, we recognize you and we endorse you. I'm like, for me, that is the highest I can get.
Yes, absolutely. That's major. I mean, yeah. You have more or less, you have that blessing to do what it is that you're doing. You know, so yeah, that's really cool. Wow. So needless to say, as far as your wrestling is concerned, would you say that your proudest moment has been that validation, that recognition that China's estate has given you, or would it have been when you met Jericho? What would you say has been so far?
I think the estate, just because it's the closest thing I can get to speaking to China herself. Sure. Jericho would be a completely different reason why that would be the best moment, because I'm a Jericho fan as well. But sure. For me and the China thing, that's probably the best thing.
Okay, makes sense. Would you ever have you done any I heard you mention your TikTok. So do you have different cosplay you've done on your TikTok that are not on your IG?
Yeah, so it goes way back. Like, I've got my X23 on there, my Electra. During lockdown, because I used to do makeup at college, so I started getting creative with the face paint because I was going mad being in the house. Okay,
nice, real good. Would you think that would you ever consider doing acting as well?
If the opportunity arose, yeah.
Okay. Have you done some modeling?
Oh gosh, way back when I was 18.
Really? Okay. That's not something that you're necessarily enthused about doing more so than, or as much as what you would possibly acting or with the wrestling then?
I mean, maybe fitness modeling when I'm stripped down would be pretty cool, sports wise. But yeah, I think actually doing something rather than stood there posing for pictures is I like to be busy.
Sure.
And doing something.
Okay, sure. How tall are you and what do you weigh?
So I'm like the action figure size China. I'm 5'5". I'm short.
Okay. and what do you weigh?
So, oh gosh, I think it's about 165 pounds now. 11 stone 7 I currently weigh.
Okay. Now, what does your trainer want you to be when you step on stage?
Not necessarily a weight. So my body fat is sitting at 16%. Okay. So to be on stage, it has to get down to 10. Wow. So it's not necessarily a weight within the physique category. I don't think. It's more the body fat percentage. So everything, basically, you are stripped back. So everything's popping. Your veins are out. You're dehydrated. Everything.
Okay, and you know what's interesting that a lot of people don't understand is 15-16% body fat is actually really lean. you
Yeah.
know. And anybody that questions that, all you got to do is look at Sarah's IG and TikTok, and you'll see she's lean and mean for sure. Wow.
When I was in bulk, I think I was sat at like 27% body fat, because in bulk you have to put on so much weight. Like, I was uncomfortable, nothing fit. I was wearing stretchy trousers. I was like, I'm just going to trust the process, because for me mentally that was the most difficult, being like big. But I was like, no, you want to bodybuild, you have to deal with this to get where you want to be.
Definitely. What would you say is your happiest place in terms of your body weight? Where are you most comfortable? Where have you been the most comfortable so far?
Where I am currently, like, okay. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, and I like how I look. I know a lot of people, like, my Instagram's getting trolled like crazy right now. A lot of people are offended by women that build muscle, but for me personally, I'm happy. I like how I look, not in a big-headed way. I just feel so good about myself.
Sure.
So people's opinion don't bother me. If muscular women offends them, I'm not for you.
Yeah. Nah, Sarah, people have something to say no matter what it is you're doing. Always something to say.
For sure.
So, yeah. And interestingly enough, a lot of that stuff that they have to say comes from a place of being jealous and envious, because you're accomplishing some things that they like to accomplish. And instead of saying, hey, congratulations to you, or good job, or thank you for the inspiration you give, they say some goofy stuff, so,
to be honest, like, the amount of, like, I've had people messaging me saying I've encouraged them to go to the gym, or they want help with stuff in the gym or advice, and the lovely messages I get from people, or people that are like, you've inspired me, that far outweighs any of the nonsense that people sit online and type.
Sure, absolutely. How does that make you feel, knowing that you're giving that encouragement to people?
It makes me feel amazing, because honestly, I'm a big believer in bigging people up. So, like, someone's in the gym and they've got a personal best, I'm like, yes, that's awesome. Like, I will big you up all day long, because for me, it takes no effort to say something nice to someone, because they could be having such a bad time, and you say something nice to them and you can instantly cheer up their day. Whereas if you're sat there being negative and horrible, all that breeds is negativity, and you're probably not a nice person anyway by being like that. So I make a point of trying to make people feel good about themselves, or encouraging them.
Definitely sounds good. What is a word of encouragement or a word of advice that you'd give someone that's currently facing a tough time?
I say, if you're having a tough time, just talk to someone. Like, I've been through so much, and I've done it alone, and I would rather talk to someone that's having a hard time and help them rather than not. Like, and it does get better. Like, there was a time last year, towards the end of last year, I honestly didn't know who I was, and I did not want to exist. Because of the situation and the mental place someone put me in, and I had no one to talk to. It gets better, and life can turn itself around. You just got to keep focusing on the good things and get rid of the bad in your life.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Sarah, what's a word of encouragement or a word of advice that you wish someone had given you when you face tough times?
Ignore people's opinions. For so long in my life, I was concerned about what people thought about me, or if I fit in. And to be honest, Chyna kind of helped me with that. Like, she didn't fit in, and it doesn't matter. You don't need to fit in with people. You just need to be you.
Sure.
There's only one of you.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, Sarah, Chynasyndrome page, thank you so very much for taking the time to have a conversation with me for your words of encouragement, and thank you for sharing some of your story. I really appreciate it, as will anybody that watches this, and everybody that watches this. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Keep shining. Looking forward to seeing what else you accomplish, be it in the AWA, however you play it, be it in your cosplay, your bodybuilding, however you play it. Looking forward to seeing you continuing to shine. Thank you again so much.
Thank you. Take care.
You're welcome. You too.
Bye.
Bye.